Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Couple of Nukes. As always, I'm your host, Mr. Whiskey, and I am known to be a romantic, a man who, when I have a partner, I love my woman, and that includes, those painful and sometimes difficult periods, once a month, sometimes irregular. And I have bought a lot of chocolate, I've bought a lot of flowers, but that doesn't fix everything always. But there are things you can do naturally without medication, the holistic way, whether you're a young woman or a woman going through menopause or what it may be, to improve your health overall and, kind of address some of those issues that can come, which include, chronic conditions that most women aren't aware of. It's important to take care of your health, and there's so much taboo around the subject that, it's not getting the recognition and concerns that it should. And so a lot of women are suffering when they don't have to be. But we are here with a powerful woman today who doesn't want y'all to suffer, who didn't want to suffer herself. And so she has co founded NourishDoc to help provide resources to naturally and healthily improve your health as a woman, and especially pinpoint on that menopause, both pre and post. So, Ms. Amita, so great to have you here to address a topic, like we said, isn't really in the mainstream, not being talked about. So I appreciate you guesting on the show to address this subject.
Absolutely, and thank you so much. I want to reiterate the fact that a lot of younger women, right? When I meet the younger women, I don't mean 18-year-olds, I mean like 35 plus here, are actually seeing the early, so to speak, perimenopause, right? A lot of people don't understand what that is, and I'll explain a little bit. But I really appreciate a guy interviewing me for this. For
Right.
that, I'm so thankful to you. What kind of audience you have, whether men or women, both of them go through it together. Quite honestly, if you have a partner or spouse, your mom, your sister, or whoever in your life.
Yeah, for sure. I think just like we as men want women to be in the loop about men's mental health and some of the issues we go through, the same way we should be there to take care of you. I know a lot of guys, are scared of maxi pads and tampons, and, they don't like period blood. I get it. And most guys, don't like the whole birthing process, but it is something that I mean, those are the times that women especially need us to be there to support them, especially once, you know, I remember as a kid, my mom got really bad hot flashes, and it would be chaos in the house with it's too hot, it's too cold, it's too hot, and the women in my life have always had, I seem to attract women with irregular periods, and I've been with a lot of women who don't have them for months, and then they have it and it's like a mega one. I've had, women who have their period twice a month, and then I know my youngest sister, she would get cramps so bad she would throw up and get taken out of
Oh my
school. So, it's and there's a lot of conspiracy behind that, what they put in the food and what we eat and the health
God.
around it. And
Mhm.
I definitely think there
Yeah.
should be more health and education on it. So tell us a little bit about how you are contributing to that. I know you're guesting on podcasts, spreading the word, and what exactly do you do to help support women?
Yeah, so my focus initially is mid-age women. When I use the word mid-age, I mean women over 35 plus, right? Now, the younger women before that, like your sister, you're talking about, that's probably PMS or maybe PCOS. We covered that, but our focus is mainly a woman who is having irregular periods when she might be hitting a term called perimenopause. So what we trying to do is through our platform, what we've done is we've created a holistic wellness platform using evidence-based knowledge, using holistic therapies from all over the world, using holistic experts, and presenting this information, empowering these women, right, to really make them understand what is going to come ahead of them when they hit 35. 35, it goes like this, right? You hit 35 before you know it, but they don't know if they're going to hit perimenopause, to your point, with food supply, with so many things that we can keep going on, pesticides, all these things. A lot of women are hitting
Yeah.
these irregular periods earlier than they're supposed to, right? And they're caught off guard. And I mean, I was caught off guard. And I started experiencing this in my 40s, early 40s. Suddenly the perimenopause started hitting, and I had no clue. and I suffered so much. So the intention of what I am trying to do, what we are trying to do, is really empower these women as early as possible, not to scare the teenagers, but 30 something, they should know if these kind of things are happening in their body, they might be entering perimenopause, and what to do, right? If that is not the right
Right.
appropriate age to seek help, or and to at least recognize the symptoms if they're going through perimenopause or menopause early, and what to do about it.
And I think, like you said, even though you could be in your 30s or 40s, you might not know about everything that
Hmm.
goes into it because I'll tell you, some of the women I've dated, and then even my own mother, they never got taught by their mom what a period was. I remember my mom shared a story. She thought she was dying. Blood just
Oh
started
my
coming out of
God,
her. And
seriously.
her,
Oh,
stepmom had never explained that was going to happen, what that was. So even some of the women I've dated had the same story where their mom never told them. And then when their daughters freaked out, they were like, "Why are you freaking out? It's just your period." It's like, but if you don't know it's gonna happen, you don't know. It's just so, if you just start getting hot flashes, you're gonna think I'm sick or something's wrong or So if you don't know, you don't know. And we talked a bit about food and chemicals. Can you tell
yeah.
us about stress? We know stress levels are very high nowadays. Does that
Yes.
affect menopause and vice versa?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's one of the key actually reason and why women are getting earlier menopause, right? Or earlier perimenopause. That is the key, one of the key reasons. Stress and menopause, all that, everything is all interrelated. And by the way, I just want to do a big disclaimer here. I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a medical expert. All my information, what I'm sharing, is by me interviewing about 3,000 of holistic experts, including MDs. So, and you're doing a lot of research. So, stress is directly linked to us, especially for a woman's body. We are not designed, our bodies are not designed to take on so much stress, right? We are
Right.
already taking so much stress with our monthly periods, with giving birth, with the taking care of the kids and the family, and you name it, right? Women are doing so much more than if you look at like your mom generation or my mom generation, or a few decades
Right.
before, women were not doing so much. Now we are, working, financial independence, all that is great, but at the same token, it's taking a toll on our bodies, like the
Right.
breeding,
Yeah.
right? And you can see the infertility on the rise. There's a lot of data to support what you and I are talking about.
Yeah, and I see so many women turning to birth control as just like this miracle fix for their periods, for their
Yeah.
acne, for their other hormonal health. I mean, can you tell us about that? Because everything you do is naturally done. So, and a lot of people would prefer that. So, what exactly do you do when you say natural and holistic? What does that entail for y'all?
So I'm not in birth control pill. I mean, I know that the birth control pill doctors are giving as a solution for a lot of hormonal issues. That might not be the right solution. So what we are advocating, what we are propagating, is using natural therapies to take care of your issues, right? Now, as far as natural birth control, I'm not an expert to talk about that, but I know there is a lot of work that's going on is measuring basal temperature. You know how the temperature of a woman's body changes, basal
Right.
temperature. I don't know if you understand that part. And what basically the natural way a lot of experts talk about is measuring your basal temperature and using that, not using birth control, but using that to, if you're planning to have a baby or if you don't want to get pregnant, but using that, right? Because your temperature, when you're going to get periods, your temperature, basal temperature is going to change. The same way, like a woman's period, right? It has 3 or 4 stages, right? It
Right. Yeah.
doesn't, and the period is 4 or 5 days. So the basal temperature will change. And before you get the period, the basal temperature changes according to the follicular and the luteal phase of a woman's period, the 28 days. So the natural way a lot of experts talk about is measuring your basal temperature and aligning your activities, intimacy activities, according to your basal temperature. Now that's what I know. And what we are trying to do is that if a woman starts getting perimenopausal symptoms, that is perimenopausal symptom, the first symptom is irregular periods, right? Now, the irregular periods can also be confused with someone who's younger. She might have a PCOS, right? So that is a medical condition. Now, the perimenopause irregular periods means that the hormones are going down, and due to the irregular periods, like you were talking about your mom, she started getting hot flashes, right? Because of the
Yeah.
hormonal fluctuations. So we are focusing on, due to the hormonal fluctuations that you are going to have due to the irregular periods, what is it that you can start doing to balance your hormones so that you start feeling better and you don't get as many hot flashes, you don't get like so many symptoms that could happen because of the irregular periods. Hot flashes is one of them, like you just talked about. Women can also start feeling bloated, the digestion part goes
Right.
down,
Yeah.
right? The gut health goes down, and with the gut health, the mental health, the anxiety, it's all connected, right, to the vagus nerve. So the
Yeah.
50% of women feel more anxious, even during the PMS, when the younger women also, like you were talking about your sister, she had to be taken out of school because, she'll get all anxiety because of the periods, right? So similar thing is happening to a perimenopausal woman. She's still getting periods, but initially the periods are closer, right? Instead of 28 days, that they could be closer, like 15 days, and they could be very heavy. So it causes a lot of anxiety and depression and
Right.
all those issues, and the bloating, and you don't feel as good. So these are things what we are trying to do is, okay, how can you clean yourself out, right? In the sense, all this is happening because of the inflammation inside your body and your hormonal fluctuations, right? And you're not probably eating right, or movement, all those things, right? The pillars of wellness. So our focus is to fix your habits by making these lifestyle modifications, dietary modifications, so that your hormones can be balanced, even if you are getting the fluctuations, right? and
Yeah.
and so that's what we are trying to do, is based on all the symptoms a woman can have during this whole roller coaster ride, so to speak. What is it that she can start doing, as far as cleaning up herself, detoxification, getting the inflammation out, changing her diet, changing her exercise routine, making some kind of a daily routine using ancient wisdom of Ayurveda, acupressure, so that
Mm.
she can navigate this journey, right? And so that is what we are trying to do. And we are saying, try to do that as natural, using natural therapies,
Right.
holistic therapies as possible. I'm not saying don't do hormone therapy. I'm not against medicine. Medicine has its own, it has
Time,
its
place.
place.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We are all alive using all kind of, right, immunization and all those things, right? Antibiotics, but I think we have gone a bit too far. We always feel a one pill is the answer of everything. In this case, it might not be. It might be just you change all these things and you'll lead a healthier life as you go along. You're not so dependent on the pills, right? So that's what we are doing. And if someone needs a hormonal replacement therapy, if it's happening, then of course you need to seek a medical advice.
Yeah, so there's a few things I want to address about what you were talking about. So you've mentioned this perimenopause a couple of
Yeah,
times, which is different from
yeah.
regular menopause. Now, is this a abnormality, or is this what always comes before menopause?
It's not abnormal, first of all. A
Okay.
lot of people think it's abnormal. It is a fact of a stage in every woman's life that's going to happen.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's say a young woman, a teenager, starts her periods, right? We all know that. And
Right.
then during the periods, then there is a fertility sort of a window, or whatever you want to call it. And then after that, typically the perimenopause is the years. It could be 10 years before a woman, like your mom you were talking about, hits menopause, which is 51, 52. And these are the years. The perimenopause is a stage in every woman's life, probably could be 4 years, 10 years, when she's going through all these hormonal fluctuations until she gets menopause. And menopause is switching off the period, right?
Hmm.
So it doesn't happen one day that suddenly the periods start for a young girl like
Right.
13. Suddenly the period stops. It doesn't happen like that. There's a whole years, four to
Right.
10 years in a woman's life where the hormones are going. up and down, and they're irregular periods. And then slowly, as she hits closer to menopause year, like 51, 52, with some could be younger, then
Right.
for 1 year, she won't have any periods, and then technically she is in menopause. Before that, from the start of the irregular period till the period stop, that is perimenopause.
Okay, and that could start in the late 30s, early 40s, or
Absolutely,
it could be a little bit
absolutely.
later. Now,
Yeah,
a more advanced
absolutely.
question is for women who are giving birth and being pregnant during those times, like 30s and late 40s, and
Yeah.
I know that's a bit later for some people nowadays, but women still do have children at that time. Will that
Mhm.
shift that perimenopause or change it, or do they play a role with one another? And does having kids later in life in your 40s push menopause back till you're like 60? How do they affect each other?
I'm not sure if there's any data that pushes. I mean, just because you're having a child and at age 40, that doesn't mean you're going to get menopause later. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, don't have
Right?
kids
It's your decision.
to prevent
Yeah.
menopause. I'm not not
I
promoting
know.
that.
It's like typically, I mean, if you look at it, right? I'm just talking stats here. Of course, women are
Right.
having kids now at a later age, but that doesn't mean that she's not going to hit menopause she's not going to hit menopause at age 60. She still can hit menopause at age 51 or
Okay.
younger, earlier as well. That has nothing to do with that. It's just that women choose to have kids at a later age in their lives on today's day and age because we are all working and financially
Yeah, yeah.
independent,
Of
but
course.
right, but typically biological clock, how they say it, my biological clock is ticking. I mean, if you look at the scientific way, that's why they recommend having kids when you're, in your
Right.
30s and not 40s, right? Because of the all these things that we are talking about. If the periods become irregular, you don't know when suddenly the window, right?
Right.
Right? So it becomes very complicated. The 28-day period cycle, there's a clockwork, okay, now the egg is going to be released before that X number of days and all that stuff. But now suddenly that becomes irregular. You don't know what is happening, and then you don't know your body. That's the problem. So gets very difficult to conceive, right? It becomes.
Yeah. And then the only other thing I want to go back to was when we were talking about the younger women, you mentioned PCOS. So what is
Mhm.
that for those of us who are unfamiliar?
So PCOS is actually a medical condition. It says polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Okay.
So that also can also have irregular periods. There's a whole. The women can also have some kind of a hair on their on their face sometimes, and they put on a lot of weight. So that is a and that's actually a lifestyle condition. There's PCOS and PCOD. One is you cannot do anything, and the other one you can and do it. So you need to see a doctor. We can't fix PCOS
Mm.
using only wellness. I mean, some lifestyle modifications, yes, you can manage them, but most of the time they need to see some kind of a doctor. But it can be managed using natural therapies, specifically using naturopathy and a lot of other things.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you and NourishDoc that y'all do holistic treatments and these different programs for a variety of lifestyle changes, dietary changes, and other things
Yeah.
to help, women going through all this stuff as well as educate them. So how, if I were a woman and I wanted to, you know, work with y'all on this to get, education or go through these programs, how would I do that?
So we have a tier structure. That is how we are designing the
Okay.
platform, right? So let's say a woman 35-year-old walks in, right? And she doesn't know what we are talking about. Most of the women don't know actually. I had no clue, to be honest with you, that this whole thing, perimenopause, whatever.
Right.
So what initially we ask her a few questions, what stage she is in, what age group, because we want to share the right kind of content to her.
Right.
And then the first phase is that, depending on the questions she answers, we will surface the right relevant content. For instance, a 35-year-old woman, a typical woman, starting having irregular periods, and she starts getting hormonal fluctuations and she's feeling anxiety. Very common case. So now this way we say, okay, understand what perimenopause is, what kind of symptoms to expect out of that. And if she says, okay, I'm having, let's say, mental health issues, anxiety, then depending on what can she do to help with her anxiety, right? It could be so many different ways that she could do that. I can give you a lot of examples on anxiety. She could start practicing some breathing, breath work in the mornings, or a yoga, or she can clean up her diet. She can use essential oils. These are the kind of things we're going to tell that woman. She could relax herself with some massage therapy for anxiety. She can do a brain dump. She can do a journaling, right? She can do hypnotherapy. So all that we're going to start telling her one by one, slowly, slowly, hey, you do this, you do this, you do this. Diet, I told you earlier, right? Diet is fundamental for everything. And so anxiety, there's so many different things. Meditation, sound healing, right? We know that. All these things can help with the anxiety, as an example. So our app, we're going to deliver it via an app. Our app will start telling this woman slowly, slowly, okay, this is what you want to do. And we are making it super affordable, like $10 a month, so that everyone can afford it. Now, after this is self-care, okay? This is not guided care. Now, after this, let's say it doesn't help her, for example, she's still feeling, oh my God, like there must be something else wrong. Because if she's not able to control anxiety, she might have a gut health issue, as an example, right? She might be, because we know gut health and mental health, they're all connected. So there might be issues with her, I don't know, food sensitivities or some other issues that are happening in her gut. Then she might need to see some kind of a specialist. She might need to take some supplements, or she might need to get some cleansing done or detoxification. I'm just giving out a generic case.
Right.
Then at that point, we have our experts. It could be naturopathic experts. She can consult with that person and say, look, these are the symptoms I'm having, and I'm not able to resolve it by using myself, the self-care, and help me with that. So that might require testing, right? Blood testing, urine testing, and then that particular expert can help her do whatever needs to be done. To put her sort of like a plan together, a naturopathic holistic plan together for her that might need changing her complete diet, giving her some supplements, giving her some detoxification, cleansing all the food sensitivities, all that. So that's kind of how we have structured it. So phase one is self-care, $10 a month. Phase two is something like, I don't know, approximately $100, and where you would have some kind of guidance from the expert. And then it's concierge, like one-on-one. They would go through the entire, whatever you need. You might need 3 months. I don't know. Or you might need 6 months of a care. You just started, then they need to monitor you for 3 months, because it's not like a one pill and next day you're going to be fine. It's going to take a long time. So that's why we have step one, step two, and then step three.
Yeah, so what I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to have the website for NourishDoc in the description below, which has all the social medias, all the programs, and all the information. So it's really going to be a case-by-case scenario, wherever you are in your menopause or perimenopause journey, or, just women's health in general. Y'all can go there and get connected with experts to figure out what plan is best for you. And then, gentlemen, whether you're a father, husband, son, or brother, this is a great resource to have in your back pocket. Even if you yourself, don't use it, you can have it there for your woman or the women in your life available to check out as well. So, Ms. Amita, I appreciate you coming on the show. Like I said, talking about this topic and bringing some healing and, some stress relief to the women who are working hard out there. And on top of everything they're doing, their body starts fighting them and they don't know what's going on. So to help aid them in that battle, I really appreciate what you do. And I thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, especially when guys interview me. So hats off to you. I love your hat, so it's great.
Thank you.
Sailing through the ocean blue, nuclear reactors my crew, guiding the ship, the stars as our guide. through the waves we ride. Jokes and laughter fill the air. On this voyage we have to share, working together, side by side. As one family we will abide. In the heart of the ship we reside, nuclear operators with pride, powering the vessel with every stride. Our mission, a source of great pride.